Jackie, I want to welcome you today to Get Chatty with Kathy.
Well, hi, Kathy. Nice to see you today.
Nice to see you too. We were trying before the show to figure out how we knew each other, maybe. And
I know you look so familiar, but haven't figured it out yet. We will.
Regina and Saskatchewan's pretty small.
It is.
Jacqueline's made a big difference in our community. And I think a lot of us have heard of Hope's Home, but we don't know about Hope's Home, the why, what's behind it. We've heard of Dancing with the Stars. I've little dustings of it all over the place, but I've never ever had the opportunity to talk to you about why you're passionate about Hope's Home and how that actually came to be as the founder.
Well, I will tell you the story. So Hope's Home started because I'm not only, I used to be an intensive care nurse. I worked pediatric ICU and neonatal intensive care. So that's my profession. But my most important and wonderful job is I'm a mom. And my oldest daughter was born with spina bifida and hydrocephalus. Her name was Acacia.
Acacia.
Yeah, and Acacia introduced me into the world of having a child with special needs and then, raising her and finding the challenges of not being able to find a babysitter or a child care center that would take care of her, really opened my eyes to the challenges parents were having, going back to work when you have a child with such complex needs. So raising Acacia and then working in pediatric ICU and neonatal, I was introduced to children that were living in the hospital, and we chose as a family to become foster parents. So we started caring for children that had life-limiting illnesses, and Hope was one of our foster daughters who lived 10 months, all of it in the hospital.
You just gave me goosebumps, from head to toe.
Yeah. So
wow.
It's a very personal journey, and Hope, like I said, she, we worked really hard trying to get her home, but just there wasn't that support.
Right.
And we finally were able to align some care. So I wanted to keep my job. They were like, well, if you're a foster mom, you need to quit and be home and care for her. She had a tracheostomy, tube feed. She was on a ventilator, very high. Yeah. And I was like, no, I think we should have support. I've been sending families home and discharging them. This was in the early 2000s, and I'm like, what are those parents doing? What are those families doing? How come they're not able to go back to work? How come one parent has to stay home? And so it was really birthed out of that personal journey of raising my children. And like I said, with Hope at 10 months, and then Acacia, after we started Hope's Home, she lived 18 years, and just going through that.
You knew where the gaps were probably, and you're very educated in that whole medicine side. So those aligned really great to create this. So I'm so sorry about all of those experiences, but sometimes the toughest things we go through are the best things too. So
absolutely.
I hope that you got lots of gifts during that experience.
Absolutely.
So going from there, it opened up your eyes. There's big gaps in our system, and we need to fix that. So how did you get your voice out there?
Well, it started really small. It started in my home. I took a year off that first year and I worked with the Ministry of Education to be a daycare within my home, like a home daycare, and that's actually how it started. And when I look back to 2005, we're 19 years, it'll be 20 years this year. That will be around
like that.
Yeah, like that. I can't imagine. I never imagined it would be what Hope's Home is today. I mean, we grew from my home with 8 kids to we're caring for 500 children in our early learning centers in Saskatchewan.
Holy. And are these special needs kids or a mix of it all?
A mix of it all. We have 2 programs. The early learning center, we care for children with complex medical needs, because what's unique about Hope's Home, we have nurses in our child care centers. And that's unique not only in Saskatchewan, but also in Canada.
Wow.
So having the nurses on staff, those families can send their children, but also their siblings can come. So we take the whole family, and then we open up spaces to the community. So it's an integrated,
I love this,
medically inclusive model of care.
So I'm thinking this would be for the normal person, a expensive place to take your kid to daycare. So how do you guys build that into the formula?
Well, we actually are a licensed childcare center like any other childcare center. So our funding model is the same as any childcare center. The difference is we were able to get some federal funding, for our nurses.
Wonderful.
That just happened in 2022. Which was incredible, through the Ministry of Education. So we partner with our government, obviously, but because of the unique model of care and the programs that we do offer, not only the nursing but therapies, whether it's speech, OT and physio, making sure that happens during the day so parents can be parents. We fundraise for that. So we do a lot of fundraising for that program in particular.
So I'm assuming this is where Swinging with the Stars
Mm-hmm.
came into place. So I was lucky enough to go a few years ago. One of my friends was in it.
Yep.
It was a fabulous event. There was so many people there. And for those of you that haven't been, they picked some wonderful people in our community
Mm-hmm.
to dance.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Dancing with the Stars.
It is.
And then each of the two dancers fundraise
Mm-hmm.
for Hope's Home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably screwing up a lot of it.
No, you're not. No, so we have, we do. We have 8 celebrities that we pick from the community, and this starts probably in the summer, where we look around and ask people to come forward, and then we match them up with a professional dancer, and then they practice.
So cool.
So February 1st we had Swinging with the Stars in Regina, and March 29th we're doing it up in Prince Albert. So different celebrities from each city that represent Hope's Home and our programs in those cities.
Wonderful. And so how many years have you been doing that one?
This is our 7th year.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably your biggest fundraiser, I imagine. It seems like there's so many people there. So we just had it just this past week. So tell me about it. Was it a good event?
Amazing. We sold out. So we had over 600 people there. The dancers were incredible. And we raised a lot of money. We'll be announcing that online.
I'm so proud of you guys for doing this type of work. So what keeps you going every day, knowing that, you're at 500 people in our community in
Mm-hmm.
PA and in Regina? Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where do you go from there? This
Mm-hmm.
is like already like huge.
So we're Regina, Prince Albert. We expanded to, we're also out in Warman, and we're just expanding in Saskatoon, our early learning centers. So we're opening for 144 kids up there.
Oh my goodness.
So I think, we also have another program that children live with us. So we have 29 children that live in our homes across the province, where we provide long-term care in our supportive living homes. So we are expanding also in Saskatoon for 4 more beds up there. So we'll have 33. So those are our 2 main programs. And the children that live with us is long-term, and we do palliative care in our homes.
Wow.
And then I would say it's the children and the families and the impact that we make. I love the kids we care for, and honestly, the passion of the staff.
Yeah, you really got to be committed, especially when you're dealing with death and young youth. Like, that's got to be pretty heavy. So you got to really love it to be in it.
Oh my goodness, you do. And I think just having that passion. We always believe in having fun. That's one of our core values at Hope's Home, and I think really making each day incredible for our children.
Yes.
No matter if it's like 10 months with Hope, 18 years with my daughter Acacia. You don't know how long they're going to be with us, and to be able to just give them the best life ever is really I think it's a gift.
Wonderful. Why don't you tell us about some of the cool experiences you've offered some of the kids?
Oh my goodness. I look back over the years, and like I said, I never imagined where we'd be today. I think back to, the crazy things. Often our children will show up at Hope's Home, and the parents, they'll have a diagnosis that they'll say they never will, or they can't do this, or they won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Our favorite is hearing that as staff, and for myself to say, oh really? Well, let's see if they can. And what I love about our environment is we not only have children with medical needs, but they're growing up with their peers. And so my favorite stories is how they learn from each other. Especially, it's like, they weren't supposed to walk, and then their buddy's walking, and then they have a walker, and it's not about therapy so much about play.
Keeping up with it.
Yeah, and they want to get in, and they want to learn with their friends, or talking even, just how they'll intently watch their little friends and peers. And it's not only impactful on our child with medical needs, but it's impactful
Oh, I
on
imagine.
their peers, you know.
You know, as a child growing up, there was always that feeling of like, oh, you shouldn't stare at people that have a disability. And so it almost was to the point where like we avert,
Yeah, unavoided.
right? And it's like, and so teaching my kids that, you know, you know what, these are just same as us, but sitting differently or whatever.
Exactly.
Talk to them, hear their stories and stuff, but I think that's something that's challenging for some people. And so growing up and spending a lot of time in that area with daycare being just part of the norm, what a wonderful gift that is.
It really is. And I feel like we're raising a generation of children that have empathy and compassion and do not see differences. There's no prejudice. They're very accepting, you know, and those are their friends, you know. There's no differences. It's just, it doesn't matter if they are, you know, wheeling around in a wheelchair and that's how they get around, or, you know, maybe nonverbal and use an iPad to speak. It doesn't matter.
They make it work. Kids are very, very agile and make things work. It's really cool to see. And
they are, and accepting, actually. I think we teach them as adults. We teach them to be fearful. And I think just exposure and having that experience gives them an opportunity, you know, of acceptance.
100%.
Yeah.
So Hope's Home in Regina and PA and Warman now, and you have your annual event. What else can we do?
You know, Hope's Home, we really do rely on donations, not only for those capital expenses like the big renovation that we're doing up in Saskatoon right now. It's an $8.6 million campaign. You know, and everybody's like, what can I do? So there's those events like Swinging with the Stars, but also, you know, being a monthly donor is something that, you know, means a lot. Becoming a partner with us. You know, we love our communities and where we're at and how we can work with our communities. We love when even kids or classrooms will come. We raise money for the kids at Hope's Home. You know, there's community events you can do like that even. It depends on what your capacity is and how you want to be engaged.
And you're willing to work with any group basically to do that?
Yes, anybody, yes.
Okay, so they could email Hope's Home and say, hey, we got this idea and we want to help.
Absolutely. So we have a website, obviously. It's hopeshome.org, so go on there. It will talk about ways to donate, how to give back, how to volunteer, how to be involved with Hope's Home.
So do you require people to have certain training before they can help, or?
You know, for the staffing, yes, obviously there's nurses, but there's early childhood educators and developmental workers that work with the children directly, or, you know, rec programmers. But as a volunteer, not necessarily. Of course, you know, there's the you know, volunteering with children, you have to have a criminal record check and all of that, of course. But, you know, reach out to us and we would, you know, love to work with you.
My hubby from Farm Credit Canada said that you guys have gone out and chit-chatted and had maybe them at any of your locations. I'm not really quite sure.
Yeah.
But he said that they were involved with you guys, and I loved that
yes.
was a good donor to have under your, you know.
Absolutely. We had some great board members that were from Farm Credit over the years. I remember doing strategic planning and they facilitated that. Farm Credit also helped with, I think they even came in and painted one year.
I think that's what my hubby did one year.
I think so, yeah. So, and cleaning the yards, or just, you know, all that, you know, stuff that has to get done.
So, like, speaking of the locations, like, how does that work? You said you have 35 odd people living with you full time. Do you just have, like, maybe an apartment style? Like, how are people living?
Okay, so our homes in Regina, we have a home that has 9 beds. Prince Albert has an 8-bed home. Saskatoon has an 8-bed and a 4-bed.
So these are houses that you've purchased and then made to work for what your needs are.
That's right. So those are the children that live with us. Our early learning centers, Regina has the one at the John Paul location, John Paul 2 on 25th, and then we're over at the Rosewood School area. We're right in that the Joint Use School.
Oh, perfect. That's a big one.
Yeah, and then PA, our actual center and house are linked together, which is interesting. Warman, we're in the joint use school. And then in Saskatoon, it used to be a bowling alley on
Shush.
Fairmont. Yeah, yeah. So we're renovating that. So it's been an incredible project. And
Wow.
as we expand up there.
Wow. So what we're doing is working with people in the community to create these safe places. Now, how does somebody does somebody live at the house with them 24/7 all the time, or is it like a like, I wonder about the long term, like, is somebody with them all the time that they always will know, or?
Absolutely. So we have a core group of staff that would work in our homes. Obviously, we need 24-hour care for little children, and like I said, this home is from birth until 18, and we are excited when children meet that milestone of 18 and are able to move into an adult home. But our focus is children, and like I said, most of our children that live with us are considered palliative care. So we do have that experience where we're able to provide that end of life care right within our homes because of the nursing staff.
Much better than being in a hospital.
Yeah,
having sat through that a few times, it's terrible. So
It
being
is.
in your own house.
Yeah, and just being able to bring the family together, and that's an area we've really recognized. I'm gonna go off on a tangent a little bit, but there's still a gap in our province.
Please tell us how we can fix things.
I think Hope's Home, we would love to have a hospice. So Hope's Home Hospice would have it'd be like an 8-bed home, but 4 beds would focus on palliative care and allowing not only children that live with us but kids from the community. So for example, we get a call from the palliative care physician, Dr. Heather, says, we have a 7-year-old with brain tumor. Your family would like to be in hospice in a place. Well, there isn't anything like that right now in our province, and I really feel the care that we provide, Hope's Home should lead that initiative, and having those palliative care beds. But also, we'd like to have 4 beds that's respite, and that would give parents an opportunity to maybe have a weekend break, overnight care where they can.
That's huge.
Like our children that are attending early learning
might have other kids that need to go on a cheer camp.
Exactly. And they have a place to go that's fun and set up for kids. So that's my dream, to open that next.
I really think that we need to help make that happen, because my family had ALS in it, and I remember the reprieve, and my aunt, who was taking care of my uncle, she really was into, and still is into, like, being outdoors and canoeing, and she was for months and months and months taking care of my uncle, and having the ability to, like, have somebody like him go and somebody be able to take care of him properly was like the world to her, so she could go and spend a weekend canoeing. Like, she couldn't do anything like that.
No.
So parents, I couldn't even imagine with little ones the difference that would make.
It's life-changing, like to be able to have a program that supports families. So many families in the early days there were single moms and single dads, because if you can't go back to work, if you can't live that life that you had before, so many partners just fall apart, and you end up with one parent at home focusing on the 24-hour care of that child, and it's devastating for families. And Hope's Home's desire is to support families, to provide that early interventions. Yes, keep them together. Let them be mom and dad.
There's so many pros and cons for living in Saskatchewan. Like, I love Saskatchewan, and everybody, I am the biggest champion of it. But because of the smaller population base, it's so hard to have these services that are so critical too. So as a community, we do need to find those gaps and fix them. So, we're hearing about this through Jackie right now. I hope that people are listening and are aware of this and want to help and get in contact with you, and I would be happy to help too, because I really think that the way that we treat our least advantaged people is like a representation of our community. And
it really is.
If we can't service our little babies with having a really dignified death,
yes,
that's not cool that we can't do that.
Yeah, and we need to do that. They're beautiful, vulnerable children that deserve the very best of life.
Yeah, so I'm so happy though that you're there giving that to them throughout like the years that they do have, and creating great memories for them. That's huge.
Thank you.
So you said that you didn't want to give up your job. I remember at the beginning when we went on a big tangent there.
Yeah, we did.
So how did you jump from not wanting to do that to doing it?
You know, in the early days, so like I said, I loved working in pediatric ICU and neonatal.
You know what? You're not the only person that's told me that. I think that baby nurses are like baby nurses.
Yeah,
like that's their thing.
Like,
they love it.
Kids and I loved it. I loved the families. I loved everything about it. And I think what was good about Hope's Home is I was able to take my profession and turn it, you know, and that passion and
keep it going.
Job. Yeah. So Hope's Home was just an extension of that healthcare aspect of the hospital.
So how did you transition though? So for others that are listening, they're passionate about something, they're working, but they want to make it happen. How did you bridge it to actually create it and then make your life manageable? Because you still need a paycheck. You still need to pay for, you know, everything. So how did that transition for your Hope's Home? Lots of fundraising.
Lots of fundraising, especially in the early days because we were not funded. I mean, we got funding through education and a little bit from health, but it didn't cover the need. So we did do a lot of fundraising. I think when you go through the life journey, like I said, of losing my children, you know, you got to take that passion and make it your purpose. And I always say we need to live with intention and purpose. And you have to be intentional. It just doesn't happen to you. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of dedication. And I think it's important to find like-minded people to gather around you and find those people that you can partner with. So I think Hope's Home success is because of the partnership and the passion that we have in the organization. You know, we partner with like Jim Pattison Children's Hospital Foundation. You know, we partner with our ministries, whether it's health, social services, or education, and we partner with SHA, Saskatchewan Health Authority. We partner with our community, you know, like FCC, you know, or with, you know, Blue L Financial or Blue Cross or whoever we have that come along and see that. I think we become stronger if we work together as a community.
And there are a lot of great people in this community that want to see it flourish.
Yes.
And have a wonderful home for our kids. So it sounds like that's exactly what you guys are trying to do. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that.
No, it's huge. And thank you for hosting that wonderful event last week where we've had 650 people come together to celebrate Hope's Home. What a gift. And I hope that you guys are able to open up more spaces. And
Saskatoon we are.
And keep that bowling alley filled with wonderful kids. And you guys, if you want to, you know, see about how you can contribute to Hope's Home, check out their website. You said Hope's Home.
Yeah, hopeshome.org.
And I'm sure that there's a contact us spot where you guys can jump on there and reach out. And in the future, please come by. We will happily have you guys on here anytime.
Oh, I'd love to, Kathy. Thanks for having us.
Wonderful. Take care out there, guys.